Well, yesterday we spoke, I was very angry. Today I sit here and I feel a little bit better, okay? It was a good victory for sure. Let's wrap it up, which is sponsored by Roto-Rooter. When plumbing problems hit, wrap them up quick and call Roto-Rooter. Their team tackles clogs and leaks so you can stay in the game. Roto-Rooter, your MVP for plumbing solutions. Outside of the 8th inning, when there was a man on second and third, no outs, and Kepler, JT, and Bohm put together arguably one of the worst 3 stretch at-bats I've seen, I got nothing to complain about. They did their job. They went to Busch Stadium. They clocked in. They clocked out. They got the dub. They started off early by punching St. Louis in the mouth. And you know what made me smile? When Nick Castellanos delivered for a 2 RBI knock, what made me so excited was when he was down 0-2 in the count, he laid off an 0-2 off-speed pitch on the outside part of the plate. Can you believe it? He actually did it. And then he smoked one to deep center field. Wow. It's amazing what happens when you lay off the crap and you wait for something in the zone, and you could square it up. Now you got base runners running around, and you pounce on St. Louis so you can set the tone. You needed to do it. You had to get to their starter. You wanted to enter with good vibes, and they sure did. And then later on, around the 5th inning or so, Bryson Stott got to tack on another run for some insurance. And Marsh walked with 2 outs right before that happened, so make them pay. How many times do you see a 2-out walk burn you? 1,000,000. Well, you better do it when the other team walks Marshy. And Marshy could barely do anything right now. So he gets walked, and if I remember correctly, it might have even been on 4 pitches. But he gets on first, and bang, Bryson Stott helps you with some insurance, which is lovely. Listen, I think that was very big for the mental. I think that was very big for them to just feel good. And even Alec Bohm was able to produce a hit. It was an infield hit, but it was something that he desperately needed. It doesn't matter how when you're in a slump as brutal as Alec Bohm's slump was. You have a job to do. Figure it out, find a way, and you never know what hit is going to be the one that snowballs into a streak or snowballs into you getting out of your funk to some level. Good for you, Bomer. Good for you. 215-592-9494. Christopher Sanchez, let's take a look at this pitching. Because I'm going to be honest with you. My biggest takeaway of the game, which is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, Christopher Sanchez is no joke. I keep hearing a lot of people say, he didn't have his best stuff. And listen, I get it. He allowed 8 hits in his 6 1/3. So, of course, he did allow a lot of base runners. But those double play balls, he's filthy. He's filthy. I'm watching him mid-innings, strike 97, high 90s. You know what he's able to do with that changeup. You know what he's able to do against lefties. I'm just in awe sometimes when he's out there doing his thing. And, yeah, there was some good defense behind him, but he also had to deal with the awkward flip to Bryson Stott where he bobbled it a little bit. I don't know what the Phillies were trying to challenge in that sequence. I thought it was pretty clear and obvious that that was safe. But you had to deal with that. And sometimes when you're a pitcher, while he got a lot of great defense behind him turning 2, sometimes it's not going to go your way. What do you do when that's the case? Just get another ground ball later. I mean, that's just what it is. I thought he was great. I thought he was excellent. I know he allowed a lot of hits. But that out of Christopher Sanchez pitching into the 7th, and your bullpen even came in and cleaned it up. Kerkering in the 7th, needed a few outs. Boom. Romano, that's back-to-back great appearances from Romano. After his appearance against the Braves, where he went up against the meat and potatoes of that order, having to face the top dogs and providing juice, he now enters a game where a little bit of a hostile environment, considering the eighth inning for the Phillies was a mess and terrible and a missed opportunity to blow the game wide open. So this must be a shutdown inning. Must be a shutdown inning. And now Romano starting to get some velocity up, starting to tick up. At all the things I've been negative about with this group, the one thing that I've actually been weirdly optimistic about is not ruling him out yet. Because I'm just a big track record guy. Track record with him screams he was injured. Prior to his injury, you're talking about an all-star with lots of closing experience, and I just think he needs some time to get back on track. Last few appearances, looks like he's getting back on track. For whatever that's worth to you. 215-592-9494. Let's go to the phones as we react here on Final Out to a 4-1 victory over the Cardinals, with wheels set up, by the way, to take this series tomorrow, with a healthy bullpen and available bullpen helping you out as well. Not that you probably need it, because Wheels is going to do his thing anyway. Let's go to Connor in Egg Harbor. What's up, Connor?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. What's happening?
Hey, I was really encouraged in all respects pretty much from this game. It's night and day from what we've seen. Do you think there's any chance they start going to Alvarado to be the everyday closer, or do you think it's more of a so-by-committee thing? Or since, the bullpen's a little bit thinner this year, we don't have really as many options,
I think for right now, they like where Jose Alvarado is. But if, and it is a big if Romano actually becomes a reasonable option, I would not be surprised if later on in the season, when they feel more comfortable, if there's a right-handed pocket in the ninth, if they look his direction over Jose. But for right now, I think they like Jose with the way he's throwing.
Yeah, I hear you. And another thing, it was great to see Bohm get a hit today. I know it's just an infield single, but I'm sure that's great for his confidence, too, going forward. He's the kind of guy that's going to hopefully get you, upwards of 35, maybe 40 doubles a year. And we've seen that from him, so it was great to see that today as well.
Yeah, he needed that big time. And I'm not the biggest Bohm fan in the world, but I do know he's significantly better than what he's giving us. He's not a 158 hitter. I don't know if he's a cleanup guy. I think he's probably closer to a sixth guy in a lineup than not. I don't think he's a protect Bryce Harper type of bat, but I don't think he's an eighth hitter either who is in the mix with Brandon Marsh. So any way possible to feel good about yourself when you're in an 0 for 20 type of stretch, you got to take it and run with it. So we'll see what transpires moving forward. But you're right. You just need somehow, some way to maneuver through with a base hit. And he did. So we'll see what this means.
Absolutely. And just one final thought before you let me go. How do you feel about Stott leading off? Do you think that stays? Do you think he moves Schwarber back there? Or is this maybe just like to break guys like Bohm and Marsh out of their slumps for the time being?
So I think, Connor, and thank you so much for the call, I think this is strictly just about trying to find the best person to help out with Bryce. I think it's just that simple. I don't think it really has to do with Marsh or Bohm or any of those guys at the bottom and their slumps. I think it's strictly, how do we have the best guy behind Bryce Harper? And the answer is Kyle Schwarber. That's how you get it. You put Kyle Schwarber there. So I think it's just by default because Nick failed. Unless they feel comfortable at some point moving Nick back in there. They only gave him one game, and he struck out 5 times on the same exact pitch. So it was pretty rough. But is that going to be a constant? Is that going to be an every-time thing? Probably not. But is he consistent enough to be that right-handed bat behind Bryce? So you can move Kyle back in the leadoff spot. I don't think Stott's an everyday leadoff guy type of guy. I don't think Bryson Stott deserves the most at-bats of your team every single game. I don't think he's that good to do it. So preferably, I would like to find a way to get Kyle back in there. But if you need to protect Bryce because all these other teams are pitching away from him or walking him on purpose, then it might be the price you have to pay to get your most impactful bat behind Bryce. All right, 215-592-9494. That is the phone number as we take our first break here on Final Out. Would really love to get your opinions on what you saw today as the Phillies tie up the series 1-1 with St. Louis with the chance to take it tomorrow with their ace. Coming up next, your phone calls and Speaking of Kyle Schwarber, Ken Rosenthal dropped a piece on the New York Times and The Athletic, and has me wondering, is Kyle Schwarber a long-term Philly or not? I don't know. It's Brodes on Final Out right here, 94 WIP. All right, let me give you an update, and then we will get to the phones on Kyle Schwarber, just because we just discussed Kyle Schwarber in the previous segment, and there was a story posted by Ken Rosenthal that gave a little insight on a potential contract extension with Kyle. Here's what it said. The Phillies offered him an extension during the offseason, but after an initial proposal, talks failed to advance. Schwarber was content going into year-to-year situations after turning down an extension with the Cubs earlier in his career. And while he wants to stay in Philadelphia, he's also content playing out his free agent season. He will be 33 next year, but surely would be in demand on the open market. Since 2022, only Aaron Judge has hit more home runs. Doesn't sound like a slam dunk to get him back. Now, it doesn't seem like it's screaming disaster either. But the fact that there was conversations this offseason and, nothing really progressed. Maybe they're not close, or we'll figure it out. There's no reason to push this. Let's get this season started, and then we'll talk when we need to. It's a dangerous game, though. It's a dangerous game. All right. Real quickly, my player of the game, which is brought to you by Stout Jersey Gas. Over 100 years of reliability, always dependable, always ready. StoutJerseyGas.com/lovemyhome. It's Nicky Two Bags. Nick Castellanos, 3 for 4, 2 RBI. And I told you about how I loved his first inning at-bat, down 0-2, and he actually laid off of an off-speed pitch on the outside part of the plate. What if I told you it didn't only happen once, but it happened again?
I wouldn't believe you.
Well, you should, because I've never told a lie. Nick, in the 8th inning, when it was 2nd and 3rd, no outs prior to the disaster, 0-1 count, outside curveball on the outside part of the plate, one of those that he always flails at and swings at, poised, patient. Next pitch, boom. How about it? Maybe one is learning after striking out 5 times on the same pitch in one game. You know, look at me selling positivity with this baseball team. To the phones. Let's go to Bernadette in Maple Shade. What's up, Bernadette?
Yeah, Brad, dude, buddy, what's up?
How we feeling? How you feeling today after this victory?
Pretty good, pretty good.
What stood out to you in this effort compared to, let's be honest, yesterday was a little rough, getting shut out 2-0, and the offense and Bohm and Marsh were ugly looking out there. What stood out to you today compared to some of the other games that we've seen recently that have shaken us up a bit?
Well, first of all, as always, Christopher Sanchez, his pitching is phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. There's something about the way that he pitches to lefties. There's something about the way that his velocity is this year. He's just really forming in front of our eyes, and it's crazy to think back on what he was when he first started to get established early on and where he is now, and that jump. I mean, it's pretty nuts.
He's awesome. I think him and Zach Wheeler are like 2 of the best.
And then we have Luzardo, Bernadette.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to him. I'm not,
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. Buy the stock.
Anybody's better than Aaron Nola, I'll tell you that.
Hey, Bernadette, I'm an Aaron Nola's man. Don't make me upset.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't make me upset. Okay? He had a quality start against the Dodgers that nobody's giving him credit for, except me.
Right.
That's right.
Gotcha.
I'm just having fun with you.
I know.
Yeah, I know. So let me ask you this, Bernadette, as I pick your brain on this baseball team.
Oh, God. Okay.
No, it's okay. It's very lighthearted. It's nothing too serious. How are you feeling about Bohm and Brandon Marsh? What are you thinking about them two?
Bohm and Brent. I'm on the fence. I mean, Bohm, I'm like, I don't know, a little, sketchy because it's like there's days that he does really good, and days it's like he looks up like, what did I just do? What did I just it just sometimes just doesn't seem to be quite coherent on what he's doing. He doesn't,
Oh, I know.
Brandon Marsh,
Oh, I know.
he just sometimes doesn't seem to know what he's doing there.
so let me clarify, summarize, I should say, Bernadette. I appreciate the call. It looks like Bohm and Marsh have no idea what they're doing. That sounds about right. I think you nailed it perfectly. I think Bohm can figure this out, though. I do. I'm not sure if Marsh can. And you know what? I cannot believe I'm about to say this. But there's actually a chance. This hurts my soul. It really does. There's a chance I might be at the point where I think it should happen. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Rojas should play every day so you can figure out what he is.
What? No.
Here's the truth. I know what he is. He's a ridiculously horrendous offensive bat and a good defender. So Marsh is so bad that I'm willing to give Rojas extended time to tell me something that I already know he is. But Marsh has just been that bad. So I can't believe I'm saying this on the air. Hopefully we can dump this because Rojas is not good. But
no, this is all staying.
No, this is terrible. This is a horrendous take. But I don't trust Brandon Marsh.
We know what Marsh is, though.
Right.
I mean, his ceiling is what?
Platoon bat.
Yeah, a platoon bat, and even just at the plate specifically, he's going to hit a single, he's always going to pull the ball. He's never going to be able to go the opposite field, consistently. He's going to pull a home run, he's going to get a double in the gap, he's going to rip something down the line. His bat is just, it hasn't progressed at all in 2 years. So we know what we have with him. The only difference between him and Bohm, and it's a major difference, I shouldn't say only difference, is that Bohm's ceiling is higher just as a hitter. I'm not concerned with the fielding at all, and Bohm as a third baseman is fine at this point. Not stellar, but he's better than what he was.
Yeah, no, he's playable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have more faith for Bohm right now than I do Marsh.
Yeah, same. No, but what about Rojas? Because I think Rojas is just a right-handed version of Brandon Marsh. That's all. It's the same thing. It's a defender who you can have out there, and I think Rojas is a good defender, but his offense sucks. I mean, it's just what it is. He sucks offensively. Marsh sucks offensively, and one is decent in the field. The other one is better than decent in the field, and that's what you have. So if I'm screaming for Rojas extended time, I'm just watching a right-handed version of the same thing that's pissing me off now. See what my issue is?
Yeah, so there's no solution to it. I mean, the solution is probably going to be they're going to try to get a center fielder or another outfielder at the deadline, and they're going to come in and be just meh. Or maybe you see if Max Kepler can play center field. That's not going to happen.
Well, what happened to Max Babe Ruth Kepler?
I have no idea. He looked bad.
What happened to Max Babe Ruth Kepler that played in spring training? Everyone told me we had Babe Ruth.
Maybe he's a June guy. Like
June
Schwarber.
guy. June guy.
You got another June guy.
Okay, I'll wait for June then.
Could be.
I'll wait for June. Let's go to Charlie. You're on WIP. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, good afternoon.
How are you?
I want to talk about Cody Clemens, but first of all, I want to thank you for bringing up the subject of that eighth inning debacle. This is a recurring factor with the Phillies, and it's got to be fixed. Second and third, no outs, 3 strikeouts in a row. It's not the first time it happens. It happens all the time. Or they squeak out one run maybe. But thanks for bringing that up because none of the other post-game shows even mentioned it, and I think that's a big mistake. But my real question is Cody Clemens still on the team?
Yes.
They got to get him in there. He's rotting on the bench.
I can't agree more. I think he's going to be in. I'd be shocked if he's not in tomorrow. He's got to be in. At some point, he's got to be in.
I mean, you can't just throw him in there to pinch hit once every 5 days and expect him to get a hit.
I don't even think he's gotten an at-bat yet.
I think he has 2 at-bats. I think he has a ground out and a walk.
Oh, when did he bat? I don't even remember him batting.
Yeah, early in the season, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but thanks for agreeing with me. And then one more thing real quickly, since you brought up the Marsh-Rojas thing.
Yes.
How about Weston Wilson?
I think he had an injury, Charlie, and thank you. He had an injury with an oblique or something in spring training.
Yeah, still rehabbing, too.
Okay, so there's a thing. I'll say this, though, about the Cody Clemens stuff, and he did in that national series. So that was very, very early on. He had 2 at-bats, March 29th and March 30th. So it's been a really long time since he had an at-bat. I didn't even remember him having those at-bats. Here's my one thing I'll say about Charlie's point, though, with Weston Wilson or Cody Clemens. While I agree, you can't have somebody rot on the bench for 2 weeks and then ask him to pinch hit here and randomly help us out there. The truth is, this team isn't riding on Cody Clemens and Weston Wilson. If we start putting faith into them having these big roles, well, then your team stinks. And I think a big part of this is Bohm's start to the year has been so tragic, and they're trying to find a way to get him out of this funk and out of this bad play and feeling good and getting out of this headspace. So third base is occupied right now for Bohm, who, if he reaches his potential, that's a major difference in where your postseason can finish. Whereas if Cody Clemens reaches his potential, he's a utility player who slots in throughout the regular season to help you win a handful of games on getaway days, and Sunday afternoon games, and things of that nature. So I don't want to put too much stock into those pieces. Not that they don't have value over the 162, because they do. And they do need to get at-bats, and you need to get them in some rhythm, because if you don't, then they're just honestly going to give you zero production, and you need some production from them. At the same point, I can't value Cody Clemens over getting Bohm right, or I can't value Weston Wilson or any of these guys over figuring out Kepler, or like even if someone plays left field, right? I mean, If Weston Wilson or if anybody else outperforms Kepler, and they might, but woof, then your left field stinks, because Weston Wilson's only going to give you so much. So maybe they are better than those type of cats that Dave Dombrowski picked up in the offseason of Max Kepler. But if that's the case, then that's a disaster. And then that's the bigger story for me. It's not so much, hey, it's nice that Weston Wilson came back and gave you a little something that's better than Kepler. It's, holy hell, Dave Dombrowski's big swing this offseason to improve the well-documented we need help in the outfield. The next move was Kepler, and Weston Wilson is better than him. That's a problem. That would be my bigger story, for whatever that's worth. We have one more segment of Final Out. We will continue rocking your calls. But even after Final Out, it's still me and you talking Phillies baseball until 7 o'clock. So nothing's really going to change. 215-592-9494. Coming up next, we will talk more about Christopher Sanchez and his awesome performance and take your calls. It's Brodes, Final Out, 94 WIP.